What's going on, everybody? It's AG here. In this video, we're going to be discussing the teams that can win the national championship this year. As of right now, I think there are 5 teams that ultimately have a chance to win the national championship at the end of the day. There are some teams that can make the playoff and maybe even make a run in the playoff to the national championship. But at the end of the day, I don't think they can win the Natty. I think there's 5 teams, though. Let's go ahead and get into it. Join me down in the comment section. Let me know which teams you think can win the national championship and why. Let's get into it. First off, Penn State. These are in no order, by the way. Penn State, obviously last year, super talented, lost in the semis to Notre Dame. Probably should have won that game. Return a lot of pieces. Their backfield in particular is back. Drew Aller is back. You got Allen and Singleton at running back. Probably the best running back room in the country. Defensively, you know they're going to have an awesome defense. They had one last year. They bring over defense coordinator Jim Knowles from Ohio State. They've added some pieces in the transfer portal to give Drew Aller more of a downfield threat that they didn't have last year. This team's super talented. They're loaded. They definitely have a chance. Might even be my preseason number 1. Ohio State. Now, there's question marks at quarterback. Admittedly, Julian saying, how is he going to look? But not only do you have to replace him, you got to replace a lot. You got to replace the running back room. You got to replace Ibuka out wide. You got to replace some DNs, Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau. But the good news is they have probably the 2 best players in the country in Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs as far as like NFL talent probably. So if you've got the receiver weapon, that's going to help out the quarterback. You've got Caleb Downs on defense to kind of lead that defense to help, get them lined up, help replicate whatever the new guys that are coming in are going to have to replace JT and Jack Sawyer. You've got the pieces in place to make a run. You know Ryan Day is going to have this team good. Now, will they beat Michigan? That's another video. But as long as the quarterback position is okay, this team's going to have a chance to win the Natty. Now, if the quarterback, if Julian saying is just okay, I don't know if this team can win the Natty, but this roster is definitely talented enough to get there. Georgia, another team that's going to be talented enough, that is consistent enough. Kirby Smart always has this team in the hunt. Really favorable schedule. I see them probably going undefeated. Now, Gunnar Stockton, I thought he actually looked pretty good in the playoff. I know they lost, but I don't think it was because of him. He was hitting his receivers in stride that just couldn't catch the ball. So I think they're going to be fine at the quarterback position, maybe even improve. They're going to have talent all across the field. Their defense is going to be nasty. Now, the question mark for me with them is, can they find some skill guys on offense? If they can, I think this team can win the national championship. Last year we didn't really get a good look at him because Carson Beck got hurt. So if he would have been healthy, who knows? Texas, this team's absolutely loaded. You could argue this is the most talented team in the country. Now, you have to replace Quinn Ewers at quarterback, and I know as much crap as he gets for the way he looked, he did win 2 semifinal appearances, and they could have won either one of those games in a row. Arch Manning, though, is going to offer them a little bit more of a dual threat aspect of the game with the running quarterback. Now, they have, besides Penn State, probably the best running back room, CJ Baxter, Trey Wisner. Defensively, they're going to be loaded again. You could argue, same thing I said about Penn State, you could argue this is the best defense in the country. Got to replace some skill guys at receiver and tight end, but they brought in some transfers. I think they'll be okay there. So as long as Arch is okay and he is as advertised, I think Texas has a chance because defensively they're going to be good. They're going to be able to run the football, and they're going to be able to play solid defense. It might not be a flashy style, but they're talented enough to compete with anybody in the country. And the last one is going to be Clemson. I think this is Dabo's most talented team he has had since Trevor Lawrence. They're absolutely loaded. Go look at like the first round mock drafts from next year. There's a ton of Clemson talent in there. There's like 6 to 8 guys that are projected to be drafted in the first round. Cade Klubnik has started multiple years, has that experience in the playoff. They kind of came back on Texas last year. Clemson, I think they have a chance to win it. It's going to be tough. You're going to have to get a favorable draw probably in the playoff to make it that far because as much NFL talent as they have, again, playing against those SEC and Big Ten schools in the trenches wears on you throughout the playoff. But Clemson is the only team I think not in the Big Ten or the SEC that could win the national championship. One honorable mention that's not on this list that almost made it is South Carolina. They were close to making the playoff last year. I think Lenore Sellers is talented enough to win a game by himself, potentially even go on a playoff run by himself. But if they make the national championship, I think at the end of the day, the more talented roster wins out. I think better coaching wins out. And so these are the only 5 teams I think that can win the national championship. But what are your thoughts? Who did I leave off that you would add to this list? Who do you think can win the national championship? Let me know. Comment down below. Make sure to like this video and subscribe.